What's up, Paul? Huh? You, you what? You can only do this because you get the government behind you. You like get crazy. You.
Alright, so BJ Penn just posted one of the most confusing and honestly deeply depressing things that I've seen an MMA fighter post in a long while. Yeah, not gonna be any jokes on this one, guys. I really don't even know how to structure a video like this, so I guess let's just watch the rest of what he posted and I'll break it down after.
This lady right here, look at her ass and legs. She's acting like my 79-year-old mother. But she's not my 79-year-old mother. And it's interesting when you Google Lorraine Abelet, our house pops up. Because this lady acts like Lorraine Inouye. So you Google Lorraine Abelet, and this house pops up, and then you look and then my mom's name starts popping up. She's trying to steal everything, and this is not my mother. And I'm putting this up because she's saying that she's going to get an attorney and try to do something. She's trying to throw me out, and if I attack her, she'll try to do something, TRO or something else, but she's...
Come on. Get off the road. Get off the road.
Dude, I genuinely don't even know where to begin with this. Very, very rarely do I find myself as confused as I am right now. So clearly Penn seems to think that this woman that you see here is not his mom, even though she's cooking in his family home. And I just want to point out that when you look at BJ's mom on the internet, whose name is Lorraine Shin, then you'll very easily find videos of her talking to the camera, and it's pretty obvious that this woman in the kitchen is in fact his mom. Like, there's this video of her from 2022 where she speaks in support of his campaign for governor, and even though you can tell that she's aged a bit since then, it's definitely the same person.
My name is Lorraine Shin, and I'm BJ Penn's mom.
She's acting like my 79-year-old mother. But she's not my 79-year-old mother.
And then things get even weirder when in the next part of the video, he starts talking about if you Google the name Lorraine Abelet of Hilo, Hawaii, then you'll start to see results for the house that he lives in.
When you Google Lorraine Abelet, our house pops up.
And yes, when I input the same search terms into Google, I do get one single result for the Penn family home, but that's because 1, his real mom's name is Lorraine, 2, the Penn family is famous in Hilo, Hawaii, and 3, their family home is apparently a historically significant building in the area. So it's really not all that weird or suspicious that when you Google Lorraine Abelet, Hilo, Hawaii, you'll end up getting search results for a famous house of a famous person named Lorraine who lives in Hilo. Then he puts some text on the screen where he accuses the Abelet family, Lorraine Inouye, as well as the government of trying to steal his family's money. Now, if you're anything like me, you might be asking, who the fuck are the Abelets? And I really, really wish that I could give you some sort of answer to that, but I cannot. He called out Paul Abelet in the first clip that I showed you, and throughout the rest of the video, he accuses Lorraine Abelet of stealing his mom's identity, and the only thing that I could find on them is that Paul Abelet is a former MMA fighter with 1 pro fight, and he's from Hawaii. When it comes to Lorraine, I haven't found a single thing across the internet explaining who she is or how she's at all associated to the Penn family. I mean, maybe BJ and Paul knew each other from the Hawaiian MMA world, and maybe there was some falling out between the two recently. I really have no idea. I will say this though, what I do think is happening, and I'm really not even sure about this, is that BJ is accusing the Abelet family of working with Lorraine Inouye, who is a current state senator of Hawaii, by the way, and Lorraine Inouye is the person who he thinks is pretending to be his mom, because according to BJ, the person in his kitchen acts like Lorraine Inouye.
Our house pops up. Because this lady acts like Lorraine Inouye.
Then in the next panel, he reveals the faces of 2 of the Abelet family members, which are these girls right here. One of them is named Heidi, but the other girl is apparently the Lorraine Abelet that he's been talking about. And it's like, what is even going on here, man? Who are the Abelets? What is the significance of Lorraine Abelet if they're supposedly using Lorraine Inouye as the imposter? Why is everyone in this story named Lorraine? I just don't get it. And I understand that I'm trying to make sense out of a man who's clearly suffering from some sort of mental illness, but I feel like I need to do all of this in order to properly highlight how utterly crazy all of this is. Now, I get that all of this is so bizarre and confusing that it's easy to get lost in his explanation, but here's a very friendly reminder that he ends his video off by saying this.
She's trying to throw me out, and if I attack her, she'll try to do something, TRO or something else, but she's...
Look, I'm really hoping that I'm misinterpreting what he says here, but at the very least, it seems like BJ has gotten aggressive enough with his mom to the point where she's had to warn him that if he attacks her, then she'll file a temporary restraining order against him. Like, I don't know how or why she would have conveyed this information to him unless he already escalated the situation at least once before. There's definitely already been an argument or an incident where he was aggressive towards her, and that forced her to threaten him with a TRO. And with that information in mind, I think that this situation has officially crossed over from crazy to dangerous. This guy BJ, who suffered several lifetimes worth of brain damage while he was a UFC fighter, is currently unable to recognize his own mom and thinks that she's an imposter who's out to steal his family's money. He is living under the same roof as her as we speak, and I am not exaggerating when I say that I am kind of fearful for that old lady's safety. And look, I make it very clear on this channel that I know nothing about anything, so when it comes to Penn here, I don't know if this is him having a manic episode, or if this is psychosis, or if this is just CTE, or maybe it's all of the above. But I have seen people online saying that this sounds like a case of something called Capgras syndrome, which is described as a rare psychiatric disorder characterized by the delusional belief that a familiar person, such as a family member or close friend, has been replaced by an identical imposter. And I'm not going to go around diagnosing mental illnesses when I have no knowledge of these things myself, but I don't know, it sounds pretty similar to what's happening here with BJ. I've also seen people say that this is a psychotic episode as a result of his continued drug use. First noteworthy insight into his drug problem comes from a former editor of BJPenn.com who accused Penn of not only being addicted to cocaine, but also of forcing himself on his girlfriend who was a Playboy model. Oh Jesus. Then in 2019, UFC fighter Nick Lentz said that when he went to Hawaii to train with Team Penn, it was obvious just by looking at him that BJ was an addict.
And now finally, I guess, I don't know why all of a sudden he's decided maybe he came down off some coke binge or something, and he decided now's the time that we're going to actually accept it. So you're not a legend. You're a dirtbag. You're a drug addict. You don't take care of your family. You don't take care of your fans. You do nothing good for nobody. And you need to get your shit together. Like, not to go into too much history, but the way I grew up and the place that, like, where I've been in life, I can spot a drug addict. I can see it.
And then also in 2019, Penn's girlfriend at the time filed a restraining order against him for a decade of abuse, and in her statement, she outright said that he's been a drug addict since he was 14. And although this doesn't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's an addict, I think it's pretty compelling stuff hearing this from three completely different sources, and if you're asking me, I believe them. This is a really messed up situation, and even though I hope things are going to improve, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't genuinely worried that BJ's going to do something awful if he doesn't get the help that he needs. And frankly, if you've been following along with the saga that has been his life post-retirement, then you know that Penn has only been spiraling deeper and deeper into his erratic behavior for the past decade now. In January 2015, he was arrested in Kihei, Hawaii, and hit with an assault charge after a brawl outside of a bar. In June 2019, an intoxicated Penn fought a bouncer outside of a Honolulu strip club. On August 27th, 2019, he was involved in a bar brawl on Hawaii's Big Island, and as a result, he was released from the UFC in early September following the incident. On February 7th, 2020, he was involved in a single-car accident in Hilo, Hawaii. According to local media, he was allegedly speeding when he lost control of his pickup truck and his vehicle flipped in front of a Hilo shopping mall. He was investigated by the Hilo Police Department for DUI and his blood was drawn at the scene, but no charges were filed. On December 8th, 2020, a paternity lawsuit was filed against him by the mother of one of his children. On January 23rd, 2021, he was arrested in Honoka, Hawaii, and was charged with DUI, but was later released from jail hours after his arrest pending an investigation. Video footage recorded from a bystander shows him handcuffed, drunk, and belligerent as he was yelling racial slurs at the police and the man recording.
You're not the only howdy here. We all niggers. We all niggers, you fucking dummy. You dumb. We all niggers. You fucking dummy. We all niggers, you fucking idiot.
In 2023, BJ made headlines for making claims that CTE is fake, which I mean, ironic. In September 2024, he posted a picture to his Instagram where he revealed that he knocked out the boyfriend to one of his daughters after he learned that he hit her. Honestly, I don't mind this one too much, but I just want to point out that in the caption, he said that he's against domestic violence, even though he's the same guy that was hit with a 2-year restraining order after extreme accounts of abuse towards his ex-girlfriend. Then in October of 2024, he accused the CIA of being responsible for Max Holloway getting knocked out by Ilya Topuria. Like, what? My point here is, BJ is in a terrible state right now, and dare I say it, at least to my knowledge, he's probably the worst off in terms of his state of mind out of all the other fighters from his era. Right now, Penn makes Tito Ortiz look like GSP, and seeing as BJ was my first ever favorite UFC fighter when I was getting into the sport, this is pretty tough to see. I mean, getting into drunken fights really isn't even all that bad when we're talking about retired UFC fighters. I feel like that's almost to be expected, but all of the abuse and sexual violence allegations, and then of course what we're seeing right now with him believing his mom has been replaced is all really disturbing stuff. You know, Penn fought in MMA during a time when the fighters basically didn't care or didn't even think about how the head trauma that they took would affect them later in life. Obviously, they went to war with each other in the UFC, but even in the gym, the fighters of his generation were known to treat sparring as if they were full-blown fights, and I strongly suspect that he was one of the guys that went all out even in training. And as the old saying goes, you either pay now or pay later, and it seems like the price for his choices are coming back to say hello. And yeah, I don't know how else to end this video other than I hope that BJ's state of mind starts to improve soon, and I hope that he doesn't do anything crazy before that happens, because that lady is without a doubt his mom, and the fact that he can't recognize that is frightening and dangerous. Anyways, that's the video for today. This one was not fun to make. It was very depressing. Definitely let me know what you think about BJ Penn. Do you think that this is CTE that we're seeing, or is it something else? As always, if you liked the video, then like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.